Elena had spent nearly 2 decades teaching English at a small public high school. She loved her students, but the paycheck barely stretched beyond the basics. Her car was old, her apartment was modest, and every month she played the same game of juggling bills just to keep the lights on. To anyone looking from the outside, Elena's future seemed fixed. Long hours, low pay, and maybe, one day, a quiet retirement funded by a teacher's pension. But what no one realized was that Elena carried a secret frustration. Every late-night grading session, every time she watched colleagues give up on their dreams, she asked herself the same question. Is this really it? Is this all life has to offer me? That question didn't just linger. It grew into a burning determination to change her story. It would soon lead her down a path that most teachers, most people, never even imagined. Elena's mornings began before sunrise. She'd sip a cup of cheap instant coffee in her tiny kitchen, glance at the stack of bills on the counter, and feel that familiar knot tighten in her chest. Her teacher's salary barely covered rent and utilities. By the time she bought groceries, there was little left for anything else. Vacations were out of the question. Even small things, like a dinner out with friends, felt like a luxury she couldn't afford. Her car rattled with every turn, the check engine light glaring for months because she simply didn't have the extra cash for repairs. At school, she wore the same few outfits on rotation, hoping no one noticed. It wasn't that Elena was careless with money. In fact, she was careful, too careful. She clipped coupons, shopped clearance racks, and brought the same packed lunch every day. Yet no matter how hard she tried, her bank account never seemed to grow. Late at night, after grading essays until her eyes blurred, she'd open her banking app and stare at the numbers. The balance was always the same, low, fragile, and one emergency away from disaster. Her co-workers often shrugged and said, "That's just the life of a teacher." But for Elena, that answer wasn't enough. Deep down, she knew there had to be another way, even if she didn't yet know what it was. And then, one moment, almost accidental, planted the seed that would change everything. One rainy afternoon, Elena ducked into the school library to escape the storm. While waiting for the rain to pass, her eyes wandered across the shelves. Tucked between dusty binders, she spotted a book with a bold title, The Millionaire Next Door. Curiosity tugged at her. She flipped through the pages, half expecting jargon she wouldn't understand. But instead, the stories felt eerily familiar. Ordinary people with ordinary jobs who quietly became wealthy not by earning more, but by thinking differently about money. For the first time, Elena saw a glimmer of possibility. If they could do it, maybe she could too. That night, she went down a rabbit hole of research. YouTube videos, podcasts, articles on investing and compound interest. She learned that wealth wasn't about chasing big paychecks. It was about consistency, patience, and putting money to work instead of letting it sit idle. Then came the moment of truth. One evening, while scrolling through her paycheck breakdown, she noticed a small line she'd never paid attention to for O3B retirement plan available. Most of her colleagues ignored it, shrugging off the idea of investing. But something in Elena snapped. She thought of her late-night worries, her aging car, the life she feared would never change. And she made a decision. She would no longer let fear or ignorance dictate her future. With trembling hands, she filled out the enrollment form. It wasn't much, just a modest percentage of her paycheck. But that single choice marked the beginning of a journey that would transform her life forever. At first, Elena barely noticed a difference. Her paycheck felt smaller, her lifestyle a little tighter. She gave up weekend coffees at her favorite cafe, skipped dinners out, and kept her worn-out car running with patchwork repairs. But a few months later, she logged into her retirement account and froze. Her contributions had grown, not just from what she'd put in, but from a market itself. The number was small, but it was more than she had ever managed to save on her own. That moment lit a fire inside her. She began treating every dollar as a seed. Each one could be planted, grown, and multiplied. While colleagues complained about their pay, Elena quietly studied index funds, dividend stocks, and low-cost ETFs. She wasn't gambling. she was building. Every year, she increased her contributions. When she received small raises, instead of spending them, she funneled them straight into investments. And then, something remarkable happened. Her money began to make money. Dividends rolled in, reinvested automatically, creating a cycle she had once thought impossible. But Elena didn't stop there. Late one night, after grading a stack of essays, she stumbled upon a podcast episode about real estate investing. Could she, a teacher with no financial background, really own property? She hesitated, afraid of debt. But after months of research, she scraped together enough for a down payment on a small duplex. The rent from one unit covered her mortgage, while the other unit brought in steady cash flow. Suddenly, Elena wasn't just a teacher. She was a landlord, an investor, and with every calculated risk, her confidence grew. Yet she kept her secret close. At school, she still wore the same modest clothes, still drove her old sedan. Her co-workers saw a tired teacher. But behind the scenes, Elena was building a future that would shock them all. And by the time her portfolio quietly crossed six figures, Elena knew one thing for certain. She would never live paycheck to paycheck again. But this was only the beginning. What came next would propel her far beyond comfort, into the kind of wealth she never dared imagine. 2 decades after she first walked into that classroom, Elena stood in front of her students one last time. Her hair had a little more gray, her voice carried a little more wisdom, but her smile was the same, warm, steady, and reassuring. What her students and colleagues didn't know was that Elena was not leaving teaching because she had to. She was leaving because she could. Behind the scenes, her years of disciplined investing had grown into something extraordinary. Her 403b account, her index funds, and her small but growing real estate portfolio had all combined into a fortune worth over $2.5 million. The woman who once counted coins to buy groceries now had the freedom to never worry about money again. Elena celebrated quietly. There were no flashy cars, no extravagant vacations posted online. Instead, she took joy in simple things, traveling to places she had only read about in her students' essays, setting up a scholarship fund for kids in her community, and helping her aging parents live comfortably. For Elena, true wealth wasn't about showing off. It was about freedom. Freedom to leave a job she loved but no longer depended on. Freedom to make choices based on passion, not paycheck. She had gone from a broke teacher to a millionaire investor. And her untold story was proof that sometimes the people you least expect are living the most extraordinary transformations. Elena's story is more than just inspiring. It's a roadmap. Here are 3 lessons her journey teaches us all. Start small, but start now. Elena didn't wait for a bigger paycheck or the perfect time. She began with just a few dollars each month. Those tiny contributions became the foundation of her fortune. Consistency beats intensity. She didn't chase risky investments or try to get rich quick. Instead, she stayed steady, paycheck after paycheck, year after year. That patience is what built her wealth. Let your money work harder than you. Teaching drained her energy, but her investments never stopped working. By putting her dollars into index funds, retirement accounts, and real estate, she created streams of income that grew while she slept. Elena's story proves that financial freedom isn't about luck. It's about discipline, patience, and the courage to believe you deserve more. If a school teacher earning barely enough to get by could transform her life into that of a millionaire investor, what's stopping you? Elena didn't have a fancy degree in finance. She didn't start with wealth, and she certainly didn't have luck on her side. What she had was determination and a plan, and you can build your own. Don't let today's struggles convince you that your future is already written. Stories like Elena's prove that ordinary people can create extraordinary results. And if her journey moved you, then you'll want to see my previous video about the Walmart cashier who quietly built a $3 million net worth without anyone knowing. Subscribe to this channel, and let's keep unlocking the secrets to building real wealth together.